Hello friends. Today we are going to discuss another chapter, that is structural violence. The structure of violence. Today we are going to discuss this new chapter, structural violence. So let's start about the discussion of violence, that is structural violence, and 3 points basically we are going to discuss, that is structural violence, defining violence, and typology of violence. Let's start. Violence is an endemic problem in the world, captures one's attention like few other human events. People on daily basis hear, see or witness incidents of violence which victimize millions of people each year with a varied degree of intensities. Violence can come from many sources and can interpersonal like domestic violence, intercommunity or communal violence, violence in armed conflict, legitimate use of force by the state, and structural violence. In this unit, we focus on the structural violence. Violence can be defined from many perspectives, such as from an injury perspective, criminal justice perspective, and domestic violence perspective, medical perspective, and sociological perspective, among others. If we look at major categories of violence discussed in the literature, we find primarily the crime related violence like homicide, robbery, rape, and aggravated assault. One also comes across event which involves firearms, suicides, and domestic violence. There is, however, lesser use of the concept of structural violence. Now, we are going to discuss another point, that is defining violence. Violence is commonly thought of as something one party does to do another by use of force or overt physical acting causes injury to a person or property. Nevertheless, such understanding of the forms of violence is inadequate because it focuses only on crime related events like killing, torture, rape, sexual assault. That is why the status of Keogh definition of violence was challenged. When people understood violence not only as the harmful use of force against persons but also social structures which cause the oppression of human beings, violence as an act of force exerted to impart physical harm or injury on other persons became inadequate on at least 3 accounts. First, the standard definition of violence exclusively refers to physical harm or injury and neglect psychological abuses or attacks. Secondly, it lists only human beings, potential victims of violence, whereas animals and inanimate objects can also be the target of violence. Last but not the least, the definition assumes that there is direct link joining the perpetrator and the victim of violence, overlooking the fact that violence often operates in indirect way. These definitional inadequacies of violence over the years have led to many fragmented, diverse perspectives, models, and theories that try to explain people's commitment toward conflicting behavior in general and violence is particular. The perspectives not only lead to richer and accurate determinants and standards of violence but also to the condition of non-violence. For the purpose of our study of structural violence, we shall deal with the violence as direct or indirect physical attack, injury or psychological abuse of person or animal, or the direct indirect destruction or damage of the property or potential property. If you like the video, then kindly share the video and kindly subscribe my channel so you can get another videos easily whenever I submit videos. Thank you friends.